Good morning. It's the Charles Van Morgan Show. Today we're going to cover, see the Knoxville roads. Today we're going to cover a cop murdering someone, and he was convicted and now he's been sentenced to prison, but we're going to cover that and talk about that a little bit, and why in the world a cop would do something like that. Because a lot of times they get by with it. We're going to explain to you the circumstances surrounding a person calling 911 and then ended up dead. So Sean Gray, the officer, killed Sonia Massey, 36 years old. Called cops over a prowler. She didn't get killed by a prowler, got killed by cops. And we're going to talk about some interesting stuff behind that. The reason why you need to know why cops do that, because they don't fear the public and the courts. They only fear their hierarchy. And if they don't get in trouble by their hierarchy, they do whatever they want to do. We're going to talk about that. And let's look at the roads. We're going to talk about Sonia Massey, the 36-year-old who killed. That's what's important, the victim. And what her father said about it. We're going to talk about Nancy Guthrie, horrific, evil, a elderly lady end up missing it. The cops think foul play. And we're going to talk about corporate welfare, the new rules for corporations and welfare. There is none. They do whatever they want to do. So but there's some other new rules. And news sources, people are turning to YouTube instead of the fake news, and other news sources. So we'll talk about that according to peer research study. And then lastly, we're going to cover my lawsuit with Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. Going to talk about that a little bit. And so we're going to talk about calling 911 and why cops might kill you. So sometimes the cops are more dangerous than citizens. So here's the roads in Knoxville. It is 22 degrees here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we're broadcasting live from Knoxville, but our broadcast is for nationwide. We talk about public corruption, stuff other people won't say. So here's the roads. They are pretty icy. So welcome. Come on board, Charles Van Morgan Show. We have a lot to cover. We're going to talk about what the father of the victim of a police killing said. And something very, very, very important. He's lost his daughter, and exactly what he said after the verdict come in, what he thought about it. And we're going to discuss what, I'm not the only one saying this. I've been saying for a long time that cops aren't afraid of the public. They're not afraid of the public at all. They do whatever they want to you, whenever they want to do it, and have no fear. Unlawfully, they just run right over you. And it has a lot to do with, we're going to explain to you why that is so. So hold on and we'll explain it to you. We'll explicate it in a fancy word and explain to you why cops do whatever they want and what the real culprit of the problem is. And why you can call 911, cops show up and kill you. So you're worried about a prowler. So you call somebody 911 emergency number and they show up and kill you. Wow, that is so horrific. So we finally got the garbage people out here in Knoxville. They've been hampered by the weather the past few days. Hello. So we're going to go in here to my newsroom and show you a video about what the father of this lady said that called 911 for a prowler. She was afraid. She called the police. Prowler didn't kill her. The police did. You believe that happened in America? Yes, it did. I'm going to tell you exactly why that happened. It may damn well happen again. Just like I explained earlier, a controversial topic. Not that I'm afraid to have controversial topics. I mean, you ought to know this is unbridled news. They moved the Knoxville Police Department from Hill Avenue to over off of Broadway. You would think that there would be less crime where the police department is. No, there's less crime now that the police department's gone. Why is that? Because police commit crimes, so when you move the police department, you don't have the crimes of the police in that area. So yeah, and now there's more crime over on Broadway. Factually, because police commit crimes and now the police department is over on Broadway, so you have to add the number of crimes that cops commit. So we're going to talk about that, and a horrific situation. One got convicted. Sometimes they mess up so bad they have to convict them. So we're going to go in here to our newsroom and talk about some very controversial topics. I'm going to be very inflammatory because it's the truth. Inflammatory is already there. I'm just pointing it out, and not afraid to tell you the business the way it is. I'm not going to soften it down or pretty it up, make it nice. I'm going to tell you the way it is. It just happens to be very inflammatory. So we're gonna talk about this police killing. We're going to talk about this police killing, show you a video of what the father said, and after the verdict. So let's go here, going to the, let's turn this little camera off, and let's talk about the police killing. Sonia Massey was killed by police. So let me turn this camera around and we'll get into the dialogue. Thank you all so very much for joining. Charles Van Morgan Show, welcome, welcome. So we had it's been about 4 months ago, but Mr. Sean Gray, a police officer, was convicted of killing Sonia Massey. She was concerned about a prowler and she called 911. And the prowler didn't kill her. The police did. We're going to show you video of that and what happened and what the father said after the conviction and which is very interesting what the father said. I want you to hear what the father said, which is almost more important than anything. Then we're going to show you some videotape of Southern Draw Law, who give him credit. And I have made fun of him, but he's saying some very alarming things, some things that I've been saying. So I'm not the only one saying this. There's some other people. It's not outside the norm, people to be able to speak the truth. And the truth is that police don't fear the public. They'll do whatever they want to you. They fear the brass in the agency. So they're not really worried about your constitutional rights. They're worried about kissing the brass. So also in the news is Savannah Gumphrey, horrific probable crime. Here's her picture. If you have any information about her missing, authorities in Arizona have revealed that the mother of NBC Today co-host Savannah Guthrie was possibly kidnapped from her home, and investigators continue to search for the missing 84-year-old woman. What a horrific, probably according to law enforcement, they think it was a crime according to the disarray of her residence in Arizona. So if you have any information, I'm just putting this out, it breaks my heart. 84-year-old lady, and not that she's more important than anybody that goes missing, but I've become aware of this 84-year-old lady, and I don't care who they are. This a horrific, probably crime. Then call this number, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, 520-351-4900. If you have any information about this missing elderly lady in Tucson, Arizona. I know they're getting the news out about that. I just wanted to mention that. Horrific that in this wicked world, some people are wicked, a lot of people are good. I'm about to show you somebody good, that somebody would abduct an 84-year-old woman. And let's pray that they find her safe. Now, the public sentiment right now, even in the news, is very gloomy. But let's pray. We don't know anything yet other than her missing. So Savannah Guthrie's possibly kidnapped from her home and in Tucson, Arizona. If you have any information, 520-351-4900. If you'll look at this, and there's a picture of her. So I wanted to make y'all aware of that. Horrific evil going on in this world. So let's look at Sean Grayson, a police officer who was called to the scene of a 911 call. A lady concerned about a burglar, Sonia Massey, and this police officer comes, searches the house, and then ends up lying about stuff and killing the 36-year-old lady at her home. How horrific. So how can that happen? You call police, want protection, and they come and kill you. And it's like I said, in Knoxville, and I'm not running on police officers, most of them are very good, but they're human beings and they do wrong, and they're afraid of the hierarchy. They're not afraid of the public. If they can get a killing past their hierarchy, past people in government, even if it's wrong, even if it's a murder, then it doesn't matter to some of them, not all of them. So that's a scary situation to be in, because police, and this is all of them. Now, all of them won't do wrong. They don't fear the public. Now, I used to be a police officer. I know. You don't have to fear the public. The public can't cause you any trouble. We have no power over them. And I'm going to tell you what we can do to get power over them. We have no power over them. They can come, do whatever, murder, whatever they want to do, for the most part, and they know it. Not all of them will do that, because they don't fear the public. There's no accountability to the public. The accountability within law enforcement is to the upper echelon, the brass in the agency. And if officers are crooked as hell doing what the brass wants them to do, a lot of times then they get by with whatever they want to do. And so that's very dangerous and scary. So the reform don't need to start at the bottom. And all this attention paid on Mr. Sean Grayson is not the issue in this. The issue in this is administrations that present an environment where these officers, these crooked murdering officers, think that they can get by with this stuff. Now, majority of police officers, God bless you all peacemakers out to do what's right. And they do. And I'm on police officer side, but they know it, and I knew it when I was a police officer, that the upper echelon in the administrations is the problem in law enforcement. And they're going to hang out Mr. Sean Grayson, and they should. He's an evil officer. He did something evil. But the problem is the environment that he worked in, because of the upper echelon, that he thought he could get by with that, because he didn't think that Sonia Massey mattered. She could do anything about it. He could lie about it, twist circumstances. He didn't think her father mattered. She was even on the phone with somebody. He thought he could get by with it. As long as he could clear it with the upper supervision, then he was good. Make it look good. That's all he had to do. And then he would be good. So we're going to show you what happened with her murder and the real story behind that, which is not what anybody's telling you. They're hanging out this officer, a very wicked person, and he did something evil. But how in the world can you not look past that and see how can you have a law enforcement agency where he has no fear of what he just did? Shot a woman point blank dead in the head, and he thinks he can get by with that. That's the issue. Why did he think he could get by with it? And that's the problem in the United States of America in law enforcement and in the government. Not one particular killing that people, oh, you did that, and let's go after him. He got 10 years in prison, just got convicted about 4 months, just got sentenced the other day, got convicted about 4 months ago. The problem in the government is the people in power, not the specifically the loan officers on the street. It's the environment that gives them permission to do that, and they know it, and that's why they do it. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm not the only one saying that. Southern Draws Law. It said the same thing in a very eloquently, and I thank him for that. I'll give him credit. And let's look at what happened in that case. And this is about accountability. He's already been held accountable. Sean Grayson's already been held accountable. What about the police departments all across America? What about the government all across America that creates an environment where these police have no fear? They think they can get by with it. That's the issue that's not being covered in the mainstream media. And that's why people are turning to YouTube and independent news, because that story is not told. So you'll hear the real truth. So let's show you what happened in this video in the news with this lady getting shot and brutally killed. So here we go. And this is CBS News.
He claimed she was acting erratically and threatened him with a pot of boiling water before he fatally shot her. The footage showed Massey apologizing and ducking for cover before those shots rang out. CBS News reporter Karen Claus outside the courthouse in Springfield with the latest. Karen, how did Sonia Massey's family react to his sentencing?
Now that's the important thing. How did her family react?
Hey, Lindsay, so the Massey family was overjoyed and relieved. You have to imagine they've been waiting about 2 years for this sentence, and they say this ultimately proves that no one is above the law.
Yeah, they are.
That there will never be full justice for Sonia Massey, but they do believe this maximum sentencing is the best case scenario. Take a listen at what Sonia's 16-year-old daughter and her father
she had a family.
I'm grateful that we got the maximum sentence that we could. 20 years is not enough, but they did what they thought, they did what they could do.
I just want to say that we serve an awesome God, because never in the history of these United States has a law enforcement officer been given this.
Now listen to what this man says. His daughter was just killed again. Let's play this again. This is real important. His daughter's been shot and killed by police after she called 911 for help from the police. They came there and they didn't help her. They killed her. And this is her father. Listen to his faith in God. Now listen to what he says. His daughter was shot and murdered, shot in the head by police. And this is her father. This is amazing faith. Amazing faith. And this is
a maximum sentence of 20.
This is the story.
I just want to say that we
serve an awesome God,
because never in the history of these United States has a law enforcement officer been given this kind of sentence, a maximum sentence of 20 years. We don't think that's enough, and the law needs to be changed here in Illinois so that there's something, a greater value placed on second-degree murder here in the state. But right now, I am just overwhelmed with joy.
Now, the Massey family wants Grayson prosecuted.
So there you have it. The father of the victim. We serve an awesome God, and amen, don't we? And his daughter was just shot in the head by police. Now what happened is this lady called the police for a prowler, and she had mental illness. She called the police for a prowler. The police got there, searched around the house, couldn't find anybody. Invited themselves in the house, was trying to get ID from the lady, which they had no right to do. And the lady had a pot of water on the stove, and the officer mentioned it. She went over to get the pot of water off the stove, and the officer made it appear like she was trying to pour water on the officer, which was absolutely not true. And he shoots her dead right in the head, and then proclaims that she was trying to pour water on him, which is absolute total lie. And the story behind this is, how in the hell can he think that he's going to get by with such a brutal murder, someone calling for help, and then he kills them? And that environment in the government, that they can do whatever they want to do. and they don't fear us, the public. And the way to avoid that, to make them start fearing the public, is to not to fight and be violent, is to VOTE, vote, voters of truth enraged, and show them that we're in charge. Don't be afraid of the upper echelon. Be afraid of the mass populace in the state of Tennessee. So we're going to show you the same thing that I've been saying. It was a delight to hear somebody else. This is a licensed attorney. Now, he can't be as brutally honest as I can, but a licensed attorney saying the same thing. They don't fear you. They come to your house, come to a call. They have no fear of you. That is exactly why when you had the Knoxville Police Department over here on Hill Avenue, there was more crime than there is today, because the police department's gone. Because you still have the same crime that's in the area substantially from the public. And then you have less crime because crimes of the police are gone. Now, I know that's an inflammatory statement. That's just the truth. You had a police officer, not all of them, most of them are very good people. You had a police officer, among other crimes, rape and a lot of other false convictions, false testimony, not all of them, but some of them. And it's because of the problem. They're not afraid of you. They can do whatever they want to you. There's no braces. And the only thing we can do is file civil lawsuits. And most of the time people don't know how to do that. I happen to know how to do that. And I will. But they have less crime there now, because just a few months ago, when the police department was there, just a few years ago, they had a man in police uniform dealing drugs from the police department there on Hill Avenue. So people would think, well, you go on the projects to find people dealing drugs. He was on a cell phone in police uniform dealing drugs as a police officer from the police department on Hill Avenue. So the police department's not there, so they have less crime. He's not there anymore. Now, he got convicted and caught. But there's a lot of other crimes that go on, and I'm not minimizing police officers. I'm on their side. They hate this as much as me, the good officers do. But they know as well as I do, you don't have to fear the public. You can do whatever you want to the public. Now, they don't, because they're good people, but that environment needs to change where they know that. And now that you have the police department's moved. It's over at the hospital. They moved the hospital and moved the hospital out. We don't need any more medical care. The hospital's closed down. They moved the police department in the hospital. So the government in Tennessee, under the Christian governor, Bill Lee, he don't want, and Bill has been, he don't want more hospital. We don't need more hospital care. We need to be locked up. So they move a police department into a hospital, close down the hospital health care, and put a semi-military organization that commits crimes, horrific crimes, that will lock you up. Now, that's our government, and that's the environment that we live in. Now, it's not police officers' fault. For the most part, police officers are out to save lives and protect property and are good people. But they know that they can do whatever they want to do as long as they can get it through the hierarchy, the brass, the people at the top, the people in government are the people they fear, not you, the mass populace of people. And there's more of us. Now, that's the problem with this Sean Gray thing. The problem is not really him. That is one murder. That's horrific. And her father, we serve an awesome God. Amen. But he's wrong. We need to make more laws to prosecute more police officers more severely. No, we need to make more laws to hold people in government power accountable that creates an environment where that officer thinks he can do that. Until you make government people in the hierarchy, people that are the untouchables at the top of the government untouchable, you're going to keep seeing this type of thing happen a lot. That's not going to cure the problem to get officers more time, because a lot of times they're not even going to go to trial because the people in government power are not even going to charge them, and where they can cover it up, they will. It's the people at the top that'll cover it up. Every now and then a video gets out, or circumstances are so grotesque, or there's so much public attention that they can't get by with it, which is in one of these cases, like this officer here, Sean Grayson. But I promise you, I assure you, I know for a fact, I've seen it with my own eyes, there's a lot of cases, a lot of cases where officers have committed cold-blooded murder. It went undetected by the lamestream media, went undetected by a lot of people, and the officer was in good with the hierarchy and it got covered up. So it's not about the officer getting prosecuted and getting more time, because they won't even be put on the table if the hierarchy can cover it up. And they will, and they do numerous times. And it's not just law enforcement agencies. It's the government, the totality of the government, the people that are in power, the people that we've been electing that we need to unelect, the people in the judiciary that back up this garbage, because they won't kill them, they'll just kill the mass population. And that's the real problem. And if you think that I'm just imagining, it's calling off the top of my head, I am not. There's another licensed attorney. I have a law degree, passed the bar twice, and they won't let me practice law because I'm honest and I'll fight for your rights. But even another licensed attorney said the same thing the other day, exactly what I'm telling you, exactly what I've been saying. Verifying with proof and evidence. See, this is unbridled news. This ain't the mainstream media that wants to tell you a narrative that's not true. We're getting to the heart of the problem, the real trouble in America, the real trouble. And until we deal with the hierarchy, the people in government power, we're still going to have people like this officer going to go out and kill people. And they do all the time, they get by with it. At the Knoxville Police Department over off Broadway, near Fulton High School, in the old, it used to be a hospital that still should be a hospital. They had a Knoxville police officer that was distributing pornography, child pornography. So he didn't do that from Hill Avenue. There's less crime over there involving children and more crime where the police department's at. And he was in good with the police department. Now, he committed such a heinous, horrific crime that it couldn't be covered up. And sometimes bad crimes like that are covered up. I know for a fact I've seen a Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper that I've seen from talking to the investigator that was in Claiborne County that was wasn't even called to a domestic dispute, and violated the general orders and went to the domestic dispute and killed somebody at the scene of a domestic dispute that wasn't even involved in the domestic dispute, and it got covered up. So there's a murder nobody ever knows about. Nobody doesn't even know about. I talked to the investigator. He was telling me what happened and how he rigged the case because he went and responded with the sheriff's department to a domestic dispute. Troopers, by their general order, are not supposed to respond to city or county calls unless they're specifically requested, and then they have to have permission from a supervisor. So what generally happens is that if the county needs backup, they don't have enough units, or something where something's really bad going on, and they want help from the Tennessee Highway Patrol, then they call the Tennessee Highway Patrol by radio, get a hold of the dispatch. The dispatch receives a call that the county is needing assistance at this domestic dispute, such and such address in Claiborne County. And then the dispatcher contacts a supervisor and says, Claiborne County is requesting assistance at this address on a domestic dispute. Can I have your permission to send a trooper? And then if the supervisor says yes, then the supervisor dispatches a trooper. In this particular case, there was no request from the county, in Claiborne County, to send a trooper. A trooper shows up, goes to the domestic dispute, gets behind a tree and sees a man coming out of a barn, not related to the pursuit. Not involved in the domestic dispute, wasn't in the house, comes out of a barn that is away from the house, and he has a shotgun out in the county. People do that all the time. The trooper doesn't even yell stop or anything and shoots and kills the man. Now, it was covered up. You never heard anything about it. I know about it. So he was in good with the upper echelon. It's covered up, a murder, and the investigator at the scene was telling me what happened and how it was covered up. Now that's not my place to report that. I did report a lot of corruption within the Tennessee Highway Patrol, which is why they got rid of me, because I was out for the public. I was getting a legal education, and they knew that I was be able to use the law to straighten some of the corruption out in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. They had instances where they had a trooper that reported sexual misconduct, sexual harassment of a lieutenant at the Highway Patrol against the secretary. He reported it and they fired the reporter, even though he reported in the appropriate manner through the appropriate system, and their general orders say you're supposed to. It's called public corruption of sexual harassment. Where's the Me Too movement with that? The Me Too movement, and a lot of these movements are still controlled by people in power. So the problem with law enforcement, the problem is in the government entities, and it's a lot higher than even law enforcement. It's the courts that back these people up. So here is a attorney and James White, and I want to give him credit, and this is a beautiful statement that he made saying the same thing. So I'm not just saying this. That's not me just saying this. Said the same thing about law enforcement, about how they're not afraid of us, the public. And I just want to show you this, and I'll give him credit for this. James White, and a lot of stuff he says I agree with. Some of it I don't, but we'll give him credit for this, for what he said about law enforcement. Let me find it here. And he is specifically saying the exact same thing that I'm saying about law enforcement, and let's show you the crime
Tonight in Illinois,
that he's specifically talking
Sean
about.
Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting of 36-year-old Sonia Massey.
There's a big one. So let's see here. So let's see here the video that was in the news. That's right. It was in the news, and
Home after she ducked behind her counter and apologized. Tonight, Massey's father angry but hopeful Grayson will receive the maximum sentence.
Because he showed no remorse. He was so cocky throughout this whole trial.
Felt like he was cocky.
Oh, yeah. Until today. Until he
was convicted.
Yeah. That knocked the smirk off.
So you see the crime. Now this is a lady that called 911, called the police. So you call the police. You call the police and you get a deputy that shows up that does this right here to you.
Picking up a pot of boiling water and saying, prosecutors arguing Grayson could have left Massey's home after she ducked behind her counter and apologized. Tonight, Massey's father angry but hopeful Grayson will receive the maximum sentence.
So there you have.
Remorse.
So there you have. He brutally murders her and then lies about it, and let's show you what
We are learning more about the trouble.
and then we'll show you what the James White said. The same thing that I've been saying. So I want you all to get this. Same thing I've been saying about law enforcement, and the real problem with law enforcement. He says it in a little different way, but the same thing that I've been saying about what is the problem and why, even with this man getting 10 years in prison, why there's still a problem out there. And we can enhance the penalty. We can enhance the penalty for police officers and murder, but that's not going to solve the problem, because people in power decide who gets on the chopping block and not the public. So let's see if I can find this. Let's see if I can go back here. And thank y'all for watching. Hit the like and share button. So we're going to point out how the problem with law enforcement is not the officers on the street. It's really not. It's the environment that makes them think that they can get by with this stuff. So we'll show you Mr. James White in his video right here, where he says exactly the same
standard whatsoever if it serves those
so
people
we'll give
who
him
can create the
Southern
elasticity.
draw law.
Anybody?
So we'll show you exactly what he says about, and it's the same thing that I've been saying
I
for
wanted a
years.
real meal, not another shortcut that tastes like one. So
It's
we're
the
doing
same
a
thing I've been
onion
saying
part.
for
This
years.
is authentic Japanese shokra and rice, already
And this is
perfectly cooked. We gotta use rice.
this is live, so it's not scripted
The inventor of Ethereum.
Ethereum has the potential to disrupt the giants
like these other shows are. So this is
What
what
else? Doesn't matter. Their opinion doesn't matter. You can tell police officers you're going to sue them all day long. They don't care because they know probably you're not going to do it.
so this is what he's saying, the same thing that I'm saying. Now listen to this right here. Very alarming, and I've been saying this. This is another person saying I've been saying this. So you can charge them all you want to all day long, and it's not going to matter because they don't fear you.
People that police officers fear are their chain of command and the post commissioners. See, it's very strange. It's almost ironic. But the thing that we're afraid of, our freedom being interrupted, our freedoms being taken from us, are the exact same things that they're afraid of. It's just that they don't have fear for us because they know we can't really do anything to them. They fear the people who can disrupt their ability to continue doing the job. They fear the people who can disrupt their livelihood. They fear the people who can get their certification revoked. So those are the people that create elasticity in the demand of a police officer. And for that reason, they only get held to any sort of standard whatsoever if it serves those people who can create the elasticity. Anybody else, doesn't matter. Their opinion doesn't matter. You can tell police officers you're going to sue them all day long. They don't care because they know probably you're not going to do it. Okay? So that's the thing that we're dealing with. We've got America brainwashed into thinking that we hold guys to a higher standard that we don't actually hold them to. And then all the while we're creating this.
So listen to what he says again here. Let's get this really good here. And this is what I've been saying.
Rely on a state penal system in order to treat your cancer. Well, there's a drastic downgrade in quality of care between what you get in the jail
so let's get
and
this,
what you would get if you were out
what
of
he says again.
private insurance.
Police don't fear you.
Adequate medical care, which is the constitutional floor.
You call 911
is not good.
And they're not necessarily sometimes looking for the burglar that you called about.
So
they can kill you and they're not worried about it because they don't fear you or your family. They fear the hierarchy. If they can get it through the hierarchy, they'll do whatever they want to do.
In prison, around potentially some pretty bad people who might take
So here we go. If we can.
Like a life sentence for him and that he will die in the next 10 years. Either at the hands of an inmate, and again, I'm not calling for that. I don't want anybody to think I'm calling
James
for that.
White,
not just
Southern Draw Law.
Prison. And it's just sort of irony that I'm certain that still at this point is lost on him, that he would send people to these places without giving a second thought to how uncomfortable it might be, and now he's going to have to confront the counterfactual to see how it lands on him and to see how comfortable he is. And to hope that somebody values his life more than he's valued other lives along the way. And I can tell you that I wouldn't want to be in that position. Another thing that Mr. Wilburn said that really stuck with me.
This is important.
Is that this is the first time in the history of our country where we have seen a sentence like this levied on a police officer for killing someone in the line of duty. And what I think is unique about that is that we have states all over the country who have worked and legislated and done everything they possibly could to carve out a protected class to stick law enforcement officers in it. States all over this country enhance penalties for assaulting police officers, obstructing police officers, impeding their ability to do their job, whatever you want to call it. And then we hear this sort of rhetoric all the time. Well, cops are held to a higher standard. But I've never seen any evidence of that. The only evidence I've ever seen is that states like mine continue to push this Back the Blue Act and making the class of law enforcement officers essentially a protected species. But they never enhance the penalties for law enforcement officers who step outside the confines of their authority.
And he's wrong about that. It's not going to do any
and
good.
Weaponize their power against us.
It's not going to do any good.
And something about that has to change. At a minimum, we have to stop pretending that these people exist in this protected box, and then also saying that we hold them to a higher standard. No, what actually happens is we hold the citizen to a higher standard while they're interacting with these people. We never hold police officers to any standard. In fact, we only hold the police officers to whatever standard they get held to if they piss off their boss. Because the only people that police officers fear are their chain of command and the post commissioners. See,
yeah, now
it's very strange.
That's right.
It's almost ironic.
It's the only
but the thing that we're afraid of, our freedom being
that's what I've been saying.
Our freedoms being taken from us are the exact same things that they're afraid of.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't have fear for us.
No, they don't.
Because they know we can't really do anything to them.
We can't.
They fear the people who can disrupt their ability to continue doing the job.
And that's what we need to do
something about. They fear the people who can disrupt their livelihood.
That's what he's
missing. They fear
missing.
the people who can get their certification revoked.
That's where I
So those are the people that create elasticity in the demand of a police officer. And for that reason, they only get held to any sort of standard whatsoever if it serves those people who can create the elasticity.
Yeah.
Anybody else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Their opinion doesn't matter.
That's
you can tell police officers you're going to sue them all day long. They don't care because they know probably you're not going to do it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so that's the thing that we're dealing with. We've got America brainwashed into thinking that we hold guys to a higher standard that we.
So there you go. So there you go. That is somebody saying the exact same thing that I've been saying for years. And that is police officers aren't afraid of us. They aren't afraid of the mass populace. And that's why the officer goes and thinks that he can get by with shooting a lady that called 911 to get his help. And then he murders her in her own house and rigs it up like it's right to do that. And here's a licensed attorney saying the same thing, but he's wrong about one thing, is that we can keep increasing the penalties for officers that do these horrendous acts, and we can do that all day long, and that's not going to change the problem, because the problem is not the officers doing this. That's one of the problems, but the major problem that can cure this is the people over them, that if they can clear it by them, then they're fine. So we need to go after the people over them that are creating this environment where police think they can do anything they want, as long as it's all right with the upper echelon, unless they do something so heinous they can't protect them, or it doesn't get out. And a lot of times it doesn't get out. So he's wrong about that. He's right about police don't fear us. They fear the hierarchy, fear their bosses, and that is responsible for a lot of problems. So the answer is, in my educated, humble opinion, is and I have a Master of Arts in sociology, the emphasis in criminology, is this officer committed a crime, but the real crime, the real problem is the environment, the criminal environment of the government that allows these crimes to go on. Start looking at the top instead of the bottom. You get rid of all these officers at the bottom all day long, it's not a problem. They got hiring events all day long, every day. They set up in universities recruiting officers. If they have to hang out an officer, and the only ones they usually hang out are the ones that they don't like, the ones they want to get rid of, or the ones that have done something so heinous and the word gets out that there's nothing they can do except hang them out. Or ordinarily they wouldn't. But if you have an officer that is in good with the hierarchy, in good with the boss, in good with the governor, in good with the people in the government power, in good with the politicians, then that officer, quite frankly, can do whatever the hell he wants to do. The only thing that will stop that officer from not doing whatever he wants to do is not higher penalties, because he could commit a murder and he's not even going to be on the chopping block. So it doesn't matter then. The higher penalties don't apply. He's not even going to be charged unless he does something so heinous and word gets out that they have to hang him out. The only thing that officer's worried about is the people over him that will protect him from serious consequences. And that is what we need to be concerned about, not about increasing penalties for officers. What we need to be concerned about is more transparency in the government and start penalizing and putting some of these upper level officials in jail, and that is the problem. So we have here, this is not about anti or pro police. It's about whether the law applies evenly when someone has a badge and when someone has authority. So when someone calls 911 for help and ends up dead, the system has to answer how that happened and why. The system has to answer. Now this officer's answering. That's good. And the family member's victim, the father of that lady, said we have an awesome God, and he's saying increase the penalties. That's good. There's a little more to it than that. Let's increase the penalties and transparency to people in the government. Now this is not what transparency looks like, because transparency is what kind of agency put an officer out like that thought he could get by with something like that. It is former Deputy Sean Grayson. He's been sentenced to 20 years in prison just about 4 days ago, plus 2 years supervised for second-degree murder of Sonia Massey, is what this case was over. And she was a 36-year-old unarmed woman inside her own home that called police. And she called 911 July 2024 to report a possible prowler asking for police help, not a confrontation. And she was very nice. Instead of leaving safe, Sonia Massey was fatally shot inside a residence, a fact that became central to this case. Body camera footage documented the encounter and played a major role in how this case was viewed by the court and the public. So he tried to flip it and say that she was going to pour hot water on him, which was not the case. You can tell obviously from the video that that's not the case. She didn't threaten him. He threatened her. Sean Grayson claimed that she was acting erratically, but the court rejected that. He was convicted of second-degree murder. It means the court found criminal responsibility, not a split-second decision. The judge imposed just about 4 days ago a maximum sentence allowed by law, which is something rare in law enforcement cases. And see, that's rare, because if you're on the right side of law enforcement, then you don't even get put on the chopping block unless something comes out, something leaks, or it's so horrific, or the family pushes it and there's no way around it, or unless you're on the bad side of law enforcement, you're on the bad side of the upper echelon. So even this person knows, and this is the point I want you to get, even this lawyer knows, law enforcement aren't afraid of us. Absolutely, positively, they can do whatever they want to do. Murder us, cold blood, when we call them for help, and that's exactly what happened. This was a case that is rare. He got punished for it. But you see officers a lot, and this is what's mistaken by people. And this is what I want you to get, that are accused of wrongdoing and put on the chopping block. And expert prosecutors can convict a ham sandwich. They say a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich. Expert prosecutors can convict, have a ham sandwich convicted. They're experts at getting people convicted. To the prosecutors, whether somebody's guilty or innocent, to a lot of them, is irrelevant. So you have officers all the time. It's on the news. And you'll have a news show. And this is what I want people to get, unbridled news. You'll have a news show, and I've seen it all the time. They did it to me. They do it to a lot of officers, where you'll have an officer that is on the news, and they'll go through his history and talk about how bad the person is and what kind of crime they committed, and just totally demoralize them in the public opinion. And people say, that's a bad officer, the system is working. No, it's not. No, it's not. The way this is happening is it is a good officer, a really good officer for the most part, that has made the upper echelon mad, and police departments get complaints all the time against policemen, especially if one's really out doing his job. They're bogus and false complaints. But say an officer makes a complaint for sexual harassment against their supervisor, then what happens is they quickly dismiss the case, and then they start looking at the officer. And I've seen this. I know it happens. This is unbridled news. I know it happens. I've seen it. I've experienced it. So it's not something that's AI generated. I'm telling you based on somebody else's information. This is unbridled, truthful news. And here's what I'm telling you. When you see an officer on the news being roasted, being toasted, or when you see one being praised, the other side of it, then think about this. is that somebody that probably was doing a good job? Look at the video and determine it for yourself. Don't listen to what these people in the news say. Is this somebody that was doing what they're supposed to do, and they've got a video out that if you looked at it without their commentary, you'd think, hey, that's fine, that they didn't do anything wrong. But the commentary that they give you based on the video incriminates them. And it's not because they did anything wrong. The officers they hang out are most of the time, a lot of times, good officers. It's because they have made the upper echelon mad, and they go find a reason. For example, similar to that in the church, with Don Lemonade getting in that pastor's face, and let's see how many people got on here getting in that pastor's face. Similar to that. And similar to that, with Don Lemon getting that pastor's face, I was out on patrol, and we're doing bar checks, and Major Stacy Heatherly was trying to find a reason to get me fired. She didn't like me, and I didn't care if she didn't like me. I would follow her orders, but law enforcement shouldn't be about like and dislike, about who you worship in the upper echelon. Law enforcement is about protecting the public. That's what it was to me. To her, it was about worshiping her and bragging on her. She bragged on her bosses. That's how she got major, without any substantial education, without knowing how to protect the public. But I had a gentleman, just like in that church, he was a gentleman, man, come up to me, tried to get right in my face, and I stopped him from getting in my face. You don't want people as a law enforcement officer getting right up on you. And he was trying to create a problem, but he figured out, you're not getting up on me. And I told him, you're not getting up on me. Keep your distance, and pushed him away from me. Now, Stacy Heatherly found out about that, trying to get me fired for protecting myself. And lady, you can do your thing. I'm gonna stay 6 foot above ground. I don't care about your corruption. She's so dangerous for herself. So I'm just saying, so the good officers a lot of times are the ones you see on the news that they're trying to hang out, not necessarily these people, like in that case where they couldn't protect them. So the officers are not afraid of the public. The only way they're going to face justice, if it's so heinous it leaks out, and most of the time that doesn't happen, or like this Southern Draws law said, James White, they're afraid of the upper echelon. If they have the approval, if they protect the brass will protect them. They won't even be on the chopping block. Now that's the thing that we need to be concerned about, is getting at the top of these agencies instead of worried about increasing penalties for these people at the bottom. So let's look at the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. He said this man literally said that they're not afraid of being sued because most people won't. Well, you sue the government. We need to go through the proper procedures and sue the government. So even the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners is using litigation against them. So what I do, I exercise my rights again. They tell you, don't exercise your rights. That's wrong for you to exercise your rights through proper procedure. That's what the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners is doing. And I'll show you on their form. The reason they're denying me my law license is because I've done just that, sued them before. Isn't that horrific? So you can't even go through a proper, peaceful, legitimate procedure. They consider that wrong if you sue them. So what do? Exercise your rights. Don't listen to their harassment, their propaganda, their illicit conduct that's trying to prevent you from going through peaceful means. And I'll show you how they do that. Thank y'all for joining me. Stay on board. We don't have as many viewers today, but we're going to talk and put out the message. If we talk to one person, and we got more than that, but we're going to go into, first we're going to cover the SNAP benefits have changed, and people are real concerned about welfare and making sure that people don't get food for free. But the SNAP benefits qualifications changed this other day, and people think that's real important, and that's one thing that Republicans get wrong as a party, and the Democrats. Now they get some more horrific things wrong that I can't go along with Democrat people, but they get the situation right about corporate welfare versus people on food stamps. Food stamps aren't a problem. They're not a drop in the bucket compared to what corporate welfare is. So the rules change with, and we'll get into the Board of Law Examiners. The rules changed. If you're labeled able-bodied without dependents, SNAP stops being food assistance, become a monthly compliance test. So they changed the laws to make it harder for people to get food stamps. SNAP reductions are $295 billion over 10 years, and tax cuts and extensions for the wealthy are $4.5 trillion over 10 years. So why don't we as Americans start being concerned about corporate welfare as opposed to somebody getting a few dollars with money? Now, they have hyped you up, and they've hyped the public up. People have gotten mad at me for saying this. But the Democratic Party, and I just tell the truth, there's some pride on this, the Democratic Party has got that right about welfare benefits, about feeding little children, and that the SNAP program is a good program. It doesn't need to be cut out. It needs to be increased. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. Go on and disagree. Did you go to college? Do you have an advanced level degree in sociology? Know how things don't work out? And for the masses of poor people, that it's not their fault that they can't afford food to eat because of these corporations that do heinous, horrible things and get tax breaks. Now, if you study welfare and if you study corporate tax breaks, read a few books on them, then come and talk to me. If you're just talking off the top of your head because the government has infuriated you because some little kid gets food stamps and you say, how dare they get a Coca-Cola and it's making them fat, then you're dirty and you're wrong for what you're saying, and you're talking off the top of your head. You don't know what you're talking about. The problem in America is not food stamp benefits. It is absolutely not. Now, they've made more laws to make it harder for people to eat that can eat because they work and work hard and try to work, the masses of millions of people. But the system, people in the hierarchy, have made it almost impossible. And so welfare benefits, food stamps and SNAP benefits is a way to level the playing field just a little bit. And we need to level it a whole lot more. And this is going to be very popular. I don't care. I'm not chasing views. I'm telling you the truth. What will help the mass populace, what will help you, what will help little children is to increase the food stamp benefits, is to lighten the requirements for food stamp benefits. If you think that feeding people the best we can as a civilized society is a bad thing, then I just can't agree with you. And you can get mad at me and whatever you want to do. I've tried to speak in public where I have to record it in case people throw rocks, because I'm going to tell the truth. And I've had arguments with people, so-called friends. They talk about somebody down the street that gets welfare benefit. They're mad as hell about that. Several people are. They're mad as hell about somebody getting $3 or $4 for a meal. But when a corporation or a business or the government condones murder, they're not worried about that at all. It's deception. You got your P's and Q's messed up. You got your priorities messed up. If a drug dealer gets a free meal, that's not a big deal. It's really not. It's $2 or $3. It's not a drop in the bucket. When a corporation messes up the environment, or when law enforcement or government agencies have environments to where they know they can go rape, rob, murder, and kill, and they literally do when you call them for help through 911, when there's an environment like that, that's the problem. I wouldn't be worried about some homeless person getting a free meal. It doesn't kill you. The problem will kill you and could. Try calling 911. You've seen it happening. In that one isolated case, somebody got convicted, and you can hear the father. That is so very unusual. That's what you need to be concerned about government corruption. And the government is corrupt for them to increase the red tape for people to eat. I mean, it's common sense to think about it. Jesus fed the 5,000. And I'm not saying that we need to hand out food for free and not have any requirements and let the government, a socialist society. I'm saying that we need to have the food stamp program to make it fair and stop. The biggest recipient of welfare benefits is corporations, not the public. So the $295 billion over 10 years to feed little children and the poor and the people that are robbed by corporations that get $4.5 trillion in tax benefits and welfare is what they get. And that's just the truth. If you disagree with me, read a book about it and come from an educated perspective instead of the propaganda that the government fires you up about, instead of what the Republican Party fires you up about, because they're wrong about that. Although there are some things in the Republican Party I can go along with, that is not one of them. Absolutely do not agree with starving children and a cola for a 2-year-old never hurt anybody. It won't get them fat. It won't kill them. What will kill you is calling 911 and overlooking the issues in the government that will kill you when you call for help. So if you want to take that chance, I don't. That's why this is Unbridled News. I'm telling you the truth. That will protect you is that the real problem is the people in power and the cover-ups, not welfare benefits for the poor. That will cause more crime when you starve people out when they have no alternative than increasing welfare benefits. It will reduce crime and reduce people's dependence and make them better able to work. You can't work if you don't eat. You in the Bible it teaches if you don't work, then you don't eat. But if you don't eat, you don't work. So there's not even a fine line. It's very clear. People in America should eat. So the rules don't mainly punish able-bodied people refusing to work. They punish unstable lives and paperwork mistakes. And even if they save money, it's tiny compared to the trillions in tax breaks by people like Bill Haslam. And that's the truth. And that's what other news sources ain't giving out. So this is important that I want you to realize that a lot of people in society, traditional news sources are losing influence in the United States. And that's why Unbridled News, Charles Van Morgan, we're coming up on over 2 million people. Hopefully, if the channel goes on, if we can continue to get funded and stay safe and have people's prayers, we can continue putting out Charles Van Morgan Unbridled News. But I've got more outreach on this show than a lot of local news channels I have had at times. We've had 58,000 viewers at one time on this show and that have watched the show for a substantial period of time. That is more than the average local news media puts out. So we got more voice than they do. And here's back of that. Traditional news sources are losing influence in the United States. And this is according to the peer research. For the first time, social media has displaced television as the top way Americans get news. The proportion accessing news via social media and video networks in the United States, 54%, is sharply up. The report authors write, overtaking both TV news 50% and news websites 48% for the first time. So the YouTube and news channels like mine are overtaking the regular news channels, and that's one reason why they hate us. So let's see how many people we got on here, see if we got any questions that we can answer. So I don't judge anyone for thinking that what Charles is saying is truthful. I just want people to know all of the truth about Charles. All of the truth put out by propaganda and liars. So we got a huge crowd in here now. Thank y'all for coming. Subscribe to the channel. So I'm not afraid of the truth. I've opened up this channel to anyone that wants to speak. If you want to lie, you can lie on here. So I'll let the public decide what the truth is. So news is people are listening to independent journalists and deciding for themselves whether they want to believe us or not. People like Don Lemonade are, I mean, re ipsa loquitur is a legal term, means the thing speaks for itself. When you watch a video and he's claiming to be a journalist and he goes in and disrupts a Christian church service, then that's not a journalist that has credibility that anyone that I would want to listen to. But when you listen to Charles Van Morgan, and I tell you what the facts are with evidence, with paperwork, with newspaper clippings that show you the headlines, not that you need to believe the headlines, but newspaper clippings show you what the mainstream and the lamestream are putting out, and then I'll let you believe what you want to believe and then tell you what I think about it, which is the commentary. Now, you can take what I think or you can dismiss it. But what I think is coming from an educated perspective. I know what the hell I'm talking about. I've read a few books. I've earned the right. I have a Master of Arts in Sociology. I also have a Doctor of Jurisprudence. I passed the bar exam twice. I'm so honest they won't let me be a lawyer. Imagine how honest that is. That's pretty damn honest. I'm so honest, I'm not violent at all. They have taken my future plans, my career away from me. The government has taken my job away from me. I had a job before I went to work for the crooked Tennessee Highway Patrol, a state job. I shouldn't have left the state job, but I didn't know how crooked the Highway Patrol was. And I'm not violent or dangerous at all, not one bit. They've taken my law license, won't even let me practice law. I've tried twice, going through their procedures with a lawyer, handling it appropriately, and went through the court systems non-violently. I'm not a violent person. They are. They're the ones that are violent. They're the ones that are dangerous. And they're even trying to tell me, and we'll talk about my legal lawsuit with the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners and where that's at right now and what I did yesterday. And they've told me, don't sue us. We're not giving you your law license because you have said that you disagree with us and you're going to handle it appropriately through a court process. So that's not right. I'm not going to listen to people. I don't care what, if they're in power, if they're not right. I have a constitutional legal right to contest people, not by violence, where they'll chase you down the road. They'll try to beat you up. These are people in the government. They'll do that. They have done that to me. I believe in self-defense. Don't get me wrong. This dog don't run, and we might take cover for a little while. And I'm not threatening anybody, but don't threaten me. We'll put it on a civil lawsuit and sue you. But they have sanctioned me, tried to sanction me for going through proper legal procedures, and these are attorneys. I can show you in black and white. That's how crooked, how dirty these people are. How dare you take us before a judge and ask the judge to adjudicate fairly in a peaceful courtroom? You don't do that to us. We're above the laws. That's what they think. That's not true, and they are right now. That's why we need to vote them out. Everybody in the Tennessee Supreme Court needs to be voted out of office. They're appointed by a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell. He promoted somebody that is causing the roads to be more dangerous. Promoting people that have no idea what they're doing because of who they are, who's their daddy, who they're related to, and because of political corrupt clout, not what serves the mass populace. So people are starting to listen to independent news like this. And this is, according to Pew Research, this is in 2018 compared to 2024, how people get their news information. From family and friends, 73% in 2018 as compared to 66%. So people get their news from family and friends more now, and radio stations, TV stations, 6% less, 6% difference. So people are less watching from 2018 to 2024. People are less watching the mainstream media by about 4 percentage points. Online forums or groups, Facebook groups or Nextdoor or channels like this, plus 14%. So in 2024, just 2 years ago, and it's probably even more now because it's on the way up, people get their news information 52% as compared to 38% in 2018. So people listen to independent news more. So if you're listening, you're not in the minority, you're in the majority, going up over 50% by social media instead of the mainstream media. People trust us more. Other online sources plus 18%. That includes YouTube and news sources like mine. So people are starting to listen to what independent, unbridled journalists are saying, specifically me, I hope, Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News, rather than the mainstream media. That's stuff they don't want you to know about. They don't want you to know people stop listening to them. They don't believe all their garbage. They don't believe their line of dirty that helps the government. They help the government. If they want to hang an officer out, if an officer has made the government mad and they have no reason to fire them, they're out serving you, protecting you, and they want to get rid of that officer, what they do is they take a complaint. They get complaints all the time. They take one, which is what Lionel Russell did, that's false. And then they start investigating that complaint, that they get complaints on other officers that are justified. But they want to get rid of you. They're the ones that take the complaints. The complaint system is not for you, not for citizens. The complaint system is for them to have available when they have an officer or they have somebody in government that they want to get rid of, and then they listen to any old complaint. It doesn't matter what the complaint is. It can be anything. And then they say, yeah, there's a basis for that complaint. Let's hang them out over that complaint. They get complaints all the time. They decide who that they want to get rid of based on, and they say, well, it was your complaint. No, it wasn't. They get complaints all the time. So they use the complaint system not to discipline or get rid of bad cops or bad politicians or bad judges. They use the complaint system because they get complaints about judges all the time. And the Board of Judicial Conduct, what they do is when they decide that a judge is not serving them, the upper echelon, I know what I'm talking about. Master of Arts in Sociology, advanced level knowledge. This is something other people don't know. Mainstream media won't tell me. The public, and you know this, people have told me this. They've told me this to my face. They say, I often think when they're getting rid of an officer, who did he piss off? Yeah, right, exactly. That's the way it doesn't work for you. It works for them because they get rid of good officers or good people in the government based on we want to get rid of them. So we'll take this complaint that was there 3 or 4 days ago that they ignored until they made them mad. They didn't serve the upper echelon. Then they take a complaint and hang that person out to dry. And everybody thinks, the public, a lot of people in the public think, hey, they took a complaint, got rid of a bad person. No, they got rid of somebody that served you and didn't serve them. So a lot of the people you see that they get rid of, it's because they serve them and they don't serve them. They serve you, and the news media helps them. They hang them out, go in the history, and they have journalists that say, we've looked into this officer's past conduct, and he was written up for jaywalking or all this stuff, and they just present a very long story about how wicked that officer is, and he went from one department to another. What's wrong with that? And they hang them out to dry, and they say the person just had a rock, they didn't have a deadly weapon, and then the next story is about how an officer is still bad, injured in Knox County, can't work again because he got hit in the head by a rock, but a rock's not a deadly weapon on the other story, so they can't even keep their story straight. And they hang an officer out protecting the government because they are the government. The news, the mainstream media is the government. They're part of the government. They get favors for backing up the government. They don't go to jail. They don't do a lot of things because they're on the government's team. They're on the government side. So people know, and you all are very aware, and people know that when you listen to the mainstream media, that's just an arm of the government that by proxy that's backing up the government. When you listen to people like me, Unbridled News, that doesn't have these corp controls, that I'm just going to tell you the truth, and I'm not just talking from somebody that ain't never been around. I'm talking from somebody that's got a legal education, a sociological education, a business education, and even more than that. Like many of you all, great viewers that I have, thank you all so very much. I appreciate your time. May God bless you, I pray. Are God-fearing people like you all that have some damn sense. You know what's going on, and that's why, and because even if you don't have education, you have experience. Most of my viewers are older people, and if you're younger, may God bless you. Listen to older people. We've been around. We didn't just read it in a book. We've seen it. We've been there. We've done it. There's no better teacher than experience. And I have all this education, that's fine. Some of the education I got is not the way it really is. But when you match up an education with what you really see, you say, yeah, that does go together. So that's the reason why people are listening to unbridled, independent news and not listening to the lie and the deception. Even in the Bible, if you're of Christian faith, even in the Bible, if you're of Christian faith, and I am, in the last days, there's going to be mass deception. Wow, you think maybe there's some deception going on? Maybe some dirty lies that the government and the news and society is trying to teach you. And God bless you all. People aren't stupid. They know. I've talked to them at their door. When I ran for public office, they've said, you're a gift from God. You're a breath of fresh air. And over 2 million people have said the same thing. And thank you all. You all are a breath of fresh air. And I appreciate people knowing the truth. I'm not a liar. I'm a truth teller. Usually on the news, here's a good indicator. When they're telling you something, it's usually a lot of times the exact opposite of what they're trying to sell you. It has nothing to do with what they're trying to say. People know that, and that's why they're turning to. And the mainstream media is getting to figure this out. That's why they're running me down. News people, I can't even talk to them. Try to say hello, and they turn the other way. And run. I mean, what are you afraid of? I know what they're afraid of. They're afraid because I got more people listening to me than they do them. And they don't like what I'm saying. It's called the truth because I'm running them down too. You look and see if you get a popular news broadcaster arrested for DUI. They won't. They know the officers, and they give them good press, and they can do whatever they want to do. You drive down a Tennessee road, and this is the truth. They don't want you to know this. You drive down a Tennessee roadway stone cold sober, and you can go to jail and your life ruined for DUI with nothing in your blood system. Now, that's just came to light the past few years. How long do you think that's been going on? A long, long time. And there's so much pressure on them now. And now Lionel Russell, the crooked representative, that's a lawmaker without any legal education. Isn't that kind of strange? I mean, a lawmaker without any legal education? Wow. I mean, maybe he shouldn't be a lawmaker. Maybe he ought to go to law school. But he won't do that because he doesn't have to. Because they do whatever the hell they want to do. And that's why you listen to independent, unbridled news that will help you. So getting local news from others still primarily happens via word of mouth. So according to peer research, so still the way you can get the message out about this channel and the way we can stop some of the violence by government against us is by word of mouth, telling your friends and neighbors, hey, unbridled news, this man's telling it like it is. And even if I don't agree with him all the time about everything, at least he's just putting it out there, blatantly honest and truthful and against the grain, stuff that nobody else is saying as emphatically and dangerously to him as they are. I mean, the man's already been to jail for telling the truth for committing no crime. Of course, I got out of it because I don't just threaten lawsuits, I'll file one. So, and I have, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So getting local news from others still primarily happens via word of mouth. So spread this channel. Help us protect you from the wicked, dirty people in government power. Help us spread voters of truth, and it'll be encouraged because there's more of us than them. There's a lot more of us than them. They have deception, we have truth. Let's get the word out through word of mouth. So in person or text or email, 12%, social media, 25%, word of mouth. In 2024, 62%. Getting local news was 62% from word of mouth. In 2024, 62%. In 2018, it's 71%. And the thing about it now is social media is 25% now, as opposed to up from 17%. So social media and this has went up percentage points, and word of mouth has gone down just a little bit. So still, word of mouth and social media is the way to get this out. So spread the channel, share and like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep putting out more news. So how Americans feel about news, and this is important. They listen to stay informed. 46%, extremely often 46% of people, which is the highest of informed, angry, sad, scared, confused, hopeful, happy, and empowered, according to peer research. So people watch me And I thank you very much. About 2 million people, the government fears the hell out of me, I'm telling you. I mean, I can feel the evil circling around me, but I got angels there to protect me. Listen to me to be informed. And I don't just tell you what the news is. I present evidence and facts, and it's not what they want me to say, because I'm not repeating their lies like the mainstream media does. So people stay informed, and I will inform you. I'll tell you the truth, and I'll show you facts and show you evidence, show you court records, show you documents, tell you exactly verbatim what they say, and I'll quote them, and I'll tell you what I think about it. And when I tell you what I think about it, I'll say, this is what I think about it. You can figure out your own opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's fine, but I'll show you the evidence of why I think what I think. And a lot of people, most people do. Now, you're not the ones out here at the city county building holding up signs saying we don't have a border and we shouldn't have a border. But quietly behind the scenes, you're all the smart people that go down to the damn polls and vote, that have put in a president in office that believes in controlling our borders and the sovereignty of the United States. So what you do in going voting does matter. Don't be intimidated by all these mass protests, because they're protesting because they got outvoted. There's a lot of them. Evidently, there wasn't more at the polls, was there? So you stay to get informed. I'll tell you informed. I'll inform you. What people want from their news, how Americans feel about the news. Angry. A lot of people makes angry. And maybe it's because they're getting lied to. Sad, 38%. Confused, 25%. I'll try to spell it out in simple terms. Hopeful, 10%. Now, that's how news makes people feel, 10%. And I'm going to say this, and this is very important. So listen to this right here. If you don't hear anything else I've said today, listen to this right here. Only 10% how they feel about the news feel hopeful. And there's a lot of bad going on. I've just told you a lot of bad stuff. But let me say this. This is very important, because this is what I believe and what I feel. If you are a Christian, a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, then you have every reason, no matter what the news is, God is in control, to be hopeful. Don't let the news take your hope away from you. There's no reason, if you're a Christian, you believe in God Almighty, and I do, to be unhopeful. There's every reason to be hopeful. That's why the most enormous problem, the psalmist said, though 10,000 people stand around about me round about, people that wanted to hurt him when he was in the cave, that he won't be afraid, because God is on his side. So if you're a Christian, a true Christian, a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, then you have every reason to be hopeful, even if the outside circumstances don't look right. The news is bad. A lot of things are bad, but don't let them take your hope away from you. They have never taken my hope away from me. I have fought them tooth and nail and lost almost on every occasion. I have sued them and lost, and I'm suing them again, and I may lose, but they will never take my hope away, because God's always on the throne, and what God allows will turn out to be my benefit. So even when I'm telling you bad news, be hopeful. I'm a very hopeful person. Not because of me and my great abilities, my great education, and how smart I am. I'm hopeful because I can pray and ask God to help me in this situation. You can too. So be hopeful. Even in the bad news, pray about the bad news. The news with this lady being taken from her house, Nancy Gumphrey. That's sad. The news is sad, and it can cause you to lose hope. But don't lose hope. Pray for this lady, and pray for her safe return, and don't lose hope. And only 7% say it makes them happy. I don't see a lot in the news make me happy. I'm happy that I can pray and be hopeful. And what makes me happy, what makes me really happy, people say I'm bitter. I look for a fight. I'm a fighter. It makes me happy to fight. It makes me happy to try to correct these travesties in the government, and that's what I'm on a mission to do. I ask for your help, both in funding the channel, if you can give a gift and support the channel so that we can travel, do news, boots on the ground. If you can't do that, I completely understand. That's okay. A lot of my news is not monetized. This channel's monetized, but a lot of it gets not paid for because of the truthful information that I put out that corporate media and advertisers won't support because it's the truth and it goes against them. It goes against the government whom they support. So even though this channel's monetized, just the video I did yesterday, I don't get paid for it. A lot of the other ones I do because they have blackballed that. They won't let me pay for it. It got 18,000 views. I get $0 for it because of the information that I reported out that's truthful, that you need to know, that will help you, but it doesn't help them, so they don't pay me for it. So a lot of this stuff I'm putting out to you that you need to know that YouTube doesn't pay me for. So I ask you to try to contribute if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the like button, and help us get the message out. And that will, in the end, turn out for us to be able to continue. But this is not for the money. This is not for the views. A lot of the stuff I'm saying probably cost me views. I don't care. I care about people's public safety. I care about getting the truth out. I care about pleasing God. And whatever happens, happens. I think God will protect me. So, but it makes me happy to fight. I'm not bitter at all. I'd be bitter if I didn't have a means and methods of fighting, but that's what empowered. So putting out the news makes me very empowered. So that's what a survey said. So let's look at my lawsuit. Now, I just went yesterday to the post office and filed civil process summons. The people in the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners sent a summons, certified mail, return receipt to the Attorney General's office as required by law to summons these people into court. I filed a civil lawsuit trying to get my law license because I went to law school, graduated, passed the bar twice, but they won't let me have my law license because I'm honest, because they're blackballing me. So that's what the government does. They blackball you. They don't have a legitimate reason not to give me my law license. They lie about stuff, and it's easy to prove when they lie about stuff. So they've even told me one of the reasons why they're not giving me my law license is because I sued them the first time that they turned me down. Well, yeah, and because it's the right thing to do. It's the right way to handle things. It's a peaceful way to handle things. Ask a judge. Bring your case before a court and ask a judge to get them in court to answer to why they did things that aren't right, that are wrong. And they have used me going through lawyers. These are lawyers. You're in Tennessee. This is your law system in Tennessee. This is the Knoxville Bar. And the Knoxville Bar did a lot of horrific things when I was a trooper. You couldn't arrest their kids. They'd come in and try to bully you. Well, good luck with that. It didn't work. They got out of it. Crooked courts in Tennessee. A crooked attorney general. And they use that against telling the truth. I can tell you how they're crooked. The attorney general here now in Knoxville, when I was trying to prosecute a drunk driver, told me, and move your kids away, that the attorney that's trying to get somebody out of a drunk driving charge would tear me a new asshole. That's how they talk if you're trying to make the road safer. So that's crooked to say that. They don't say that in court or in the news media. When she goes on the news and talks about how an officer didn't commit a murder, or she's trying to clear the upper echelon, she doesn't talk that way, does she? That's how she is. I know her behind the scenes. That's crooked. That's crooked as hell to demonize and try to intimidate a police officer that is not out murdering people, that's safely taking people into jail for their own safety and protection of the public, that's literally lowering the fatality rate to talk to them in that manner. That's crooked as hell. Charmin Tissue Allen, she's crooked as hell. Now, they don't like me saying that. I'm not just saying that because it sounds good. I'm telling you why I'm saying that, because of what she did. It's not a lie, it's the truth. It's the truth. So they even use the fact, lawyers use the fact that I disagree with them and that I have filed a lawsuit, which is a demand for them to come to court to answer in front of an unbiased judge, supposedly, to the accusations that I have against them, which is the appropriate way to do things. You can't go beat them up. You shouldn't do that. But the appropriate way, and they're lawyers, that's the way they do it all the time, but we're not allowed to sue them, but they can do whatever they want to. That's really, I mean, does that even make any sense? And they're trying to say, yeah, that's all right. And I can show you in their papers, documentation that they have said, because I filed a lawsuit against them, which is the appropriate way to handle things. There's nothing wrong with filing a lawsuit. It's wrong to use violence. It's wrong to do other ways. That's the appropriate, legal, legitimate way to handle a disagreement with somebody. But they say, no, you can't handle a disagreement with us that way. You take what we say, and the lawsuit that I filed was not dismissed based on it wasn't with any merit or anything. Now, this one might be, I don't know. Depends on how much influence they got with the judge. If the facts are presented, they're being able to come into court and the facts are presented, and I'm allowed to present my case, then I should win. I believe that they have done me wrong, and they in fact have. But what they'll do, I don't know. But I'm not afraid to pull the trigger, not on a bullet, but on a legal lawsuit. There's nothing wrong with that. Lawyers saying you can't even sue, that's the wrong way to handle things, and they're in the legal profession. That's kind of absurd. And I'll show you in writing where they say, because I sued them before, had a disagreement, went through a proper procedure, wasn't dismissed as frivolous, that I did wrong, and that because of that is one of the reasons why they won't give me the lawsuit. Because I used the legal procedure, and they're lawyers. Wow. I mean, they think they can do whatever they want to do. They don't expect somebody like me to demand they come into court and point it out. So they've said, don't sue us, and we'll hold this over your head. We might give you your law license if you fly not right, but according to the way we want you to, and don't sue us. I hold that over my head. They're never going to give me my law license. I don't believe that for 10 seconds. If you don't even believe in going through the legal system and you're a lawyer, you're not going to go abide by any kind of ethical or correct rules. I mean, they think we're stupid. They really think we're stupid. And if you read this, you'll think that they think we're stupid the way they talk to us. So, and I have posted the hearing that I went before them in 2024 and the one in 2018. It's all out there. You can listen to the hearing. It's in my videos where I went to the hearing before the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners with the audacity. How dare I, a regular person like you all, study hard without any kind of family up in the government and study hard and pass the bar exam and years in law school and try to get my law license, a member of the public. Wow, how dare I do that? Yeah, I mean, that's the way they think about you. You don't get your law license if you're not part of the echelon, if you're not part of the crowd, if you're not related to the governor, like the junior that's in the Court of Appeals, and unless you're in the upper echelon, that's not American. That's not right. And how dare you fight that and ask them to come into court legally? So I'm going to show you some of the things I said, and the transcript is online. You can hear exactly what I said. You can hear exactly what they said, and realize that they're in power, and they think they can do whatever they want to do. They don't think they have to go by the law, and they should have to go by the law, but they break the law. And this is the reasoning behind the last time. So listen to those videos if you want to. The reason that they denied me this last time is because they allege that I'm not candid, which means that I don't tell the whole truth. I tell the truth, but I leave some part out. But legally, they're lawyers. Legally, in order to prove somebody's not candid, you have to prove that they leave something out with the intent to deceive. And they didn't prove that because that's not true. If you're telling a story, somebody asks you a question, you're telling a story about what happened, you might leave out stuff, but you're not intended to deceive, and it has to be material, has to be important to the case. That didn't happen with me, and they didn't prove that. They just said I was lying about something because I won't go along with the court's corruption. The court's wrong. The court got it wrong in the case where they terminated me. I know they got it wrong. They had to lie and committed perjury under oath to get that through a crooked court system. The judge even lied about stuff, said a tail light was on the car. You can screenshot it wasn't. And they want me, in order to get my law license, to be uncandid and to say what they want me to say, even though it's not true. So if I want my law license in the state of Tennessee, this is the fact, this is the truth, this is I'll show you. They want me to agree with their lie. If I agree with their lie and be a liar, then I can be a lawyer in the state of Tennessee. I'm not going along with that. I'm not going to lie. I've earned the right to tell the truth. I have contested at every step what they've said under oath, told the truth. Nothing can disprove it. They have lied at every step to get my job away from me, to get my law license away from me. And they want me to kiss the ring. They want me to say, a lie, and if I lie for them, for Lisa Perlin and her a dirty board, that's what it is. It's a dirty board when they want you to lie and say what you said, even though it's wrong, is the truth. And they want me to do that under oath. And I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen, Lisa. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is I'm going to be honest and I'm going to sue you again, even though you don't want me to sue you again. It's written right here that you don't want me to sue you again. You said I did just that, so you're trying to deter me from doing it. I did it again. And that's the way I handle things legitimately and as an honest lawyer would do. And as a dishonest lawyer, you're trying to say, you sue us and we'll never give you your law license. Really? Then what resort do we have then? Resorting to violence? Is that what they want? And I'm not saying don't do that. Do what you need to do and file civil lawsuits when you have a legitimate case like me in a courtroom. Look how dirty these people are. That's your legal system in the state of Tennessee. How crooked that is. You won't hear that on the mainstream media. Unbridled news. I'm very honest. They're not. Even one of the people that sat on the board, Barbara Zulica, look it up. She didn't get prosecuted by the state. She got prosecuted by the federal government. She was stealing money while she was a prosecutor, going on vacation, putting on her timesheet, costing you tax money that she was at work while she was laying out on the beach and charging you money. And she even had vacation time she could have took. How much thievery is that? They're so rich and they're so glutton, but she lied on her timesheet. She was committing a crime of dishonesty, felony theft that she admitted to. She's a lawyer. She knows she can fight it, that the state has to prove it. And even if she's guilty, if the state can't prove it, she don't have to testify against herself. So she knows all these legal rights more than a novice, a street person, more than other people, knows every trick in the book to get out of a crime. And pled guilty because they got her hand in the cookie jar. At the time, now this would be funny, except for these are people in state power that put you in jail, execute you, and do all kinds of heinous things under the umbrella of we're legitimate. No, they're not. No, they're not. We need to vote them out. And because I say vote them out, they don't want me to do that. But because on this public sidewalks where I'm allowed to vote them out, because I have a YouTube channel, and I'll keep saying it. They're not going to deter my rightness because of their wrongness. They're not going to bully, intimidate me. I'm getting the truth out, and you should too. Share this channel. So Barbara Zulica, was committing a felony of dishonesty at the time that she said that I'm not candid, although I have never been convicted of any crime whatsoever at all, let alone a crime of dishonesty, which could be a reason for them to deny me my law license. I mean, if you've been convicted of a crime in front of a jury or pled guilty of something where you're not an honest person, say theft or something you've done deceitfully, an infamous crime is a crime of dishonesty, as opposed to a crime where you just made a mistake, you weren't dishonest. Say like speeding, you weren't dishonest, you just went down a hill, and it was a crime of omission. You forgot to put on the brake. You're not being dishonest. It's not something where you need to trust your integrity. It's you forgot. But a crime of dishonesty is where you go and you steal money trying to conceal it. And that's what Barbara Zulica did. I've never even been convicted of any crime, let alone an infamous crime, a crime of plain dishonesty that was adjudicated before a court. And the Board of Law Examiners, a member, was convicted, at the time she was saying I'm dishonest, was convicted, pled guilty to a crime of dishonesty, and she's the one saying I'm not honest. Now, I would argue, I mean, is it a stretch to say, no, excuse me, man, you're not honest, you're a liar and a thief, and the Board of Law Examiners that shouldn't be on the board, a lot of them shouldn't be, some of them are violent, and I am an honest person, and I've never been convicted of any crime of dishonesty. Now, you all accuse me of being dishonest. While you all were being dishonest, there's no proof of my dishonesty. And this is the important thing. They will do that to you. They do it all the time, every day. Go to a Tennessee courtroom and get the circus. That's the truth. So, and I'll show you in black and white where this is memorandum, opinion, and order resolving show cause proceeding. Denying me the right to defend you in their courtrooms honestly while some of them are committing crimes of dishonesty, while they say, based on the findings and conclusions set above, the board hereby denies Ms. Moore's application to practice law in Tennessee. While that lady that committed a crime, that no state official in Tennessee denied her law license because she's friends with the Supreme Court, and so she can do whatever she wants to do. It was the federal government that charged her with federal crimes while she was a prosecutor. She's prosecuting other people while she's stealing. And I mean, these people are denying me my law license, saying I'm not honest. Well, they're not honest. That's just true. I'm trying to drag them into court. No, don't drag us into court. That's not, we don't handle it that way either. Just leave us alone. Just worship us. Just worship the government. You're here to serve the government, not the government here to serve you. And denying me the privilege and honor of representing y'all. So here's what they did. Here's what they said in this last thing, and I might put this out on YouTube, the transcript of this. Here's what they said about that I don't even have the right to sue them. Yeah, I do. Or they won't give me my law license. That's blackmail. Don't use a legal process, and this is legal people. So the board, April 18, 20, show cause order was based on a series of lawsuits and discipline for Mr. Walker's time as a police officer and his termination from Tennessee Highway Patrol. A series of lawsuits. I have never been sued in a court of law successfully by the opposing party. I won every time as a police officer, every time. The only time I lost was when it was them against me wrongfully lying. The times that I was a police officer, that I was sued for misconduct as a police officer, it was litigated. The jury listened to all the evidence, listened to the other side. It wasn't like a complaint. It was covered up. I was sued in court. And people listened to the evidence, listened to the other side, bring in whatever they wanted to say according to court rules. And I had a defense, and I didn't do anything wrong. And there were like 3 separate lawsuits where I was out protecting the public. People got mad because I was out protecting the public. And a court exonerated me. A jury, you people said, no, you didn't do anything wrong. You did the right thing. That was a lawsuit, and you win. And even if when I won a series of lawsuits, even though I won the series of lawsuits, I won them. So they're even using my wins against me. And it's not just complaints that were covered up. It's wins that were completely public, litigated before the public, everything looked into, rocks overturned whether or not I did anything wrong. The other side, of course, if they had evidence I did something wrong, they tried to present it to a jury. It was completely looked into, and I was completely exonerated in every case. I could tell you about them, and I might. But I think there were 3 lawsuits where I was sued wrongly, where I was doing something right, and a lawyer filed frivolous, false lawsuits against me and lied about stuff in lawsuits. I presented it to a jury. Hey, this is what I did. This is why I did what I did. The jury looked at it. You all looked at it. And the Board of Law Examiners, you all said I didn't do anything wrong. The Board of Law Examiners said, even though I won because I was sued, which I had no control over, I went by the law process. I presented myself in court. The jury said I didn't do anything wrong. And the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners, this is how crooked they are. This is crooked as hell. Saying just because you were accused of something which you were even exonerated before the public, we don't care about the public, we're better than them, because you were simply sued wrongfully because you were out protecting the public, we're going to hold that against you. So you win, you lose in front of them. If you lose because they rigged the game, then you really lose. So you just can't win, and that's your government. Is that the kind of government you want? That's the kind of government you got. I'm telling you, that's unbridled news. That's the damn truth. And they don't want me to even point it out to even sue them. So also, and I'll show you where it says, because I'm using the legal process. I'm not violent. I'm not dangerous. I'm accusing them of wrongdoing, writing it out exactly what I say they're doing. They have an opportunity to say, no, that's not what they're doing. They don't even want me to bring accusations that are truthful against them. What kind of legal board is that in Tennessee? Is that a legitimate one? Hell no. It's not one that should exist in the present manner it's at. They lied, said I said stuff that I never said. They put words in my mouth. I mean, they just do whatever heinous acts they want to do and kiss the ring, bow down and say, I'm going to lie and say what you want me to say in order to maybe get my law license. Sell out to them. No, thank you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to point out how you're lying, how you shouldn't be in the position you're at, and try to peacefully get you in court and try to have you voted out of office. like any decent person would do. I'm not indecent like you and say, don't even sue me. If you sue me, I'll blackmail you. And I'll lie about what you say and lie about stuff. I mean, that's what they do. That's true. And I'm prepared, well prepared to go in court and tell this in front of a federal judge if I can get them in there. I tried to sue them, subpoena them, summons them in court the other day. They're beautiful people. If you listen to the news, Sermon, you know, he's helping Tennessee football players and all that. I've talked to him. I don't think he's a beautiful person. I don't think he ought to be voted in office. I don't think he ought to be anywhere near a law license. But he's the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee. Let's worship him. He's not out for you. He's out for the governor. So who's he's out for? That's what I think, and I'm allowed to think that. I sent him a summons yesterday. That's wrong for you to send him a summons. I mean, can you all get that, understand that? So here's what they say, that I have not been forthcoming candid in my disclosure of facts leading up to my termination. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. That's not true. They want me to say what their courts, their dirty courts, have said, which is not true. Not true. And it's dirty when you add evidence that's not there. That's dirty. That's a crooked judge. A judge that they reassigned. I had a judge that had put a trooper back to work that got fired, and they reassigned that judge and put another judge that they knew, I believe, had in their pocket. So I was forthcoming. They want me to say that what they adjudicated is true when I was there, had my boots on the ground with my life in danger while they're lying behind four walls with policemen guarding them, and I'm not going to do that. It ain't going to happen. The truth matters, has weight and value, and I don't fear them. I fear God, and I pray about things, and I have hope that justice will prevail. Imagine that. American that believes in justice, doesn't believe in fighting it out in the streets, believes in going in front of a courtroom, bringing honest procedures, and lawyers over a board that don't believe in that. And I'll show you that they don't. They want you to worship them, and it ain't going to happen, and you shouldn't either. And the way you can not worship them is to vote and subscribe to this channel. So here's why they won't give me my law license, which is bad for you, not just me. And they say here that, and there's a lot of stuff on here. Mr. Morgan filed a complaint with the Board of Judicial Conduct against the trial judge in the above referenced case. So they're using against me that I filed a complaint against the judge. I filed a complaint against the judge through their procedure. So they didn't investigate the complaint that I filed, where a judge took somebody's constitutional rights away from them and put them in jail based on witness tampering in the courtroom that I observed, my attorney observed. And they didn't even look into that, where somebody like your rights could be taken away. And I even went through their procedure. The complaint was not determined to be a frivolous complaint. They thanked me for the complaint. They didn't even look into it because it's one of their judges that they got in their pocket that I would expose. They are using the fact that I made the complaint against the judge to protect the public. So if you complain against us through our procedure, I wasn't even doing it on YouTube then, I was complaining against the judge through their procedure. I mean, can you imagine that? If you complain against us, we won't look into the complaint. We use it to get your name, to write it down, to sanction and punish you for trying to make it a better judiciary, a better society, a safer society where people's constitutional rights are honored. We don't care about your constitutional rights. We care about you not pointing it out that we're violating your constitutional rights. That's the way they handle things. Is that the kind of judiciary you want in the state of Tennessee under the governor? He had a State of the Union address the other day, claims to be a Christian. That's the kind of judiciary that he's over. He promotes these judges that we need to vote out. So they are mad because I am politically campaigning for public office. You're not one of them. You can't even campaign for public office. Well, I might do it again. That's my business. In America, we can run for public office if I want to. They interfere with elections. How dare you run for public office? So here's what they mention. An arrest where I was campaigning for public office, that I was exonerated, that I was not found guilty of any crime. I was falsely arrested, body camera footage deleted, and my camera busted, didn't do anything wrong, and they used the fact that I was falsely arrested against me. Wow. So, I mean, can you believe these people? They just want you to just take whatever they dish out, whatever lie. And they're liars. Lisa Perlin, and I'll say it in court, is a liar. She lied on me. And it's about blackballing. It's not about the truth. And these are people that licensed attorneys all across the state. I mean, it is very scary, and I'm fighting it, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. So they said he threatened to sue the executive director and the board in federal court. And here's the reason. Mr. Morgan had previously done just that. So they're using the fact that I sued the Board of Law Examiners in federal court. A complaint that was dismissed on a technicality, a jurisdictional issue that I'm trying to overcome in this suit, that was not dismissed with prejudice, that was dismissed without prejudice, which means that I can file it again, which I have. And they're using the fact that I filed a legitimate complaint that was dismissed on a technical issue, jurisdictional issue that I've tried to overcome in this. They're using that fact against me, that I sued them in court. These are the law board, that you use the law to try to get your law license. How dare I try to get my law license? I'm trying to get my law license. How dare you do that? We're not going to give you your law license. We don't like you. We don't want you. Not that you won't be good for the public. You won't be good for us, is what they're trying to say. So they literally said that. I'll show you where they said that. It said, he said that. So he said that, that they said that because I filed a lawsuit, I'd done just that. So that's the reason that they're denying me my law license. And it's all written out there. You can see it. And I'm trying to drag them into court, kicking and screaming as they are. And they lie about stuff. They said I said stuff they didn't say. I wonder if they have a recording of stuff they said that I never said. They said that I said that it was an illegitimate law board. I never said that. There should be a board of legal examiners. I never said it was illegitimate. I applied through their board. I didn't get fair treatment. I didn't get my constitutional rights. I wasn't treated in an unbiased manner. I wasn't treated constitutionally before their board. That's what I'm saying. I have filed a lawsuit saying that in federal court. It's not something I'm just saying off the top of my head. I have signed my name saying I believe that they've treated me unconstitutionally, put down specific reasons why, and put it before a court, asking them to come in court to answer to the accusations that I've made against them because I don't have my law license and should, and they won't even let me do that. Because you're doing that, you just shut up and take it. And that's not just what they're doing to me. They'll do that to you and Tennesseans all across the state of Tennessee. In America, they won't. If I apply to another state, people told me that. Why don't you just go to another state? Because I had to put in the other state that I was turned down by Tennessee, and they'll just go along with Tennessee, most likely. So my best odds are to fight the Board of Tennessee Law Examiners in a court of law, and I have in fact done that. Now, they told me not to do that, or I'll never get my law license, pretty much what they're saying. And, you know, they think I'm stupid. They're going to give me my law license, right, if I play their game. No, they're not. They never will. I do not believe. And there's other stuff in here that is totally false in their reasoning for denying me my law license. And I have contested that, and fairly, through the court system, and I'm hopeful. Yesterday, I went down to the post office, and I mailed a summons and complaint to the Attorney General and the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. So I'm waiting to get receipt of that so I can take the receipt and fill out the back of the summons and turn it into the court where they'll be properly served. There's a whole body of law on service. Even if somebody knows they're getting sued, if they're not properly served, then they don't have to go to court, and the lawsuit can be dismissed and it can be time barred. There's specific rules in service of process, meaning that just knowing about a lawsuit, you can know that you're being sued is not enough. You have to be served properly. That 12B6 is reasons that the other side asked for a lawsuit to be dismissed. One of them is improper service of process. So even if they know about the lawsuit, even if it's a good lawsuit that you would win, that you did not give them service properly, they can get the lawsuit dismissed. So there's a lot of technical issues. So I served them properly through the legitimate procedure, through mailing them service process to the Attorney General, to the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. And the next step is probably getting a motion to dismiss, where they'll have to contact me and talk about the reasons why they want it dismissed as part of the rules rather than just write out the motion if we can't come to agreement. And if they can tell me a good reason why it should be dismissed, then I'll dismiss it. I don't think they can. My ears are open. They had to call me the last time and I didn't agree with them. And it got dismissed based on jurisdiction, not on the merits of the case. So we're locked in, and hopefully we can win this lawsuit, trying to get an injunction against them. My injunction is simply asking for for the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners to give me a fair, constitutional, unbiased hearing. And giving an injunction that you have to give me a hearing that's fair. They used the previous stuff against me in my application that they said was in an error. They used that against me, even though this was a completely separate application. I marked the exact boxes that they wanted me to on this, and they still used the previous one against me. I mean, there's no way I can win with them because they're going to change the rules, and they're not honest people. And I said that's true. They're not. And they'll probably listen to this video using in federal court. I'm testifying right now. They're not honest people. They're very deceitful people, and they're wrong, and they hurt you. They prevent honest attorneys like me to get licensed to be able to walk in a courtroom and defend you honestly and fairly according to the rules of state Tennessee, according to the Constitution in a courtroom. They only have lawyers that will obey them. They're officers of the court. They're double agents. That's a sociological phenomenon that's well recognized. They're officers of the court. They represent the court first and then you second. They don't want a lawyer like me that will represent you and demand the Constitution appropriately is followed and file legitimate complaints against them or legitimate contest against them in court and act appropriately. They don't want that because I have acted appropriately. I appeared before their board. They said I didn't even do right appearing before their board because they tried to say things that were unjust, that were falsely accusatory, and that were inflammatory, that insulted me unfairly while I was trying to get my law license, not trying to break a law. That is wrong for them. For somebody like me to try to get my law license, they consider that an insult. And they consider it an insult when you try to get your constitutional rights. And they don't want me in court protecting them. So that's what this is about. The next step is probably talk to the Attorney General. If the service goes through, I'll get letters. I'll get the green cards back. I'll go file it with the court. And then I will wait for the Attorney General. They'll try to call me and try to have it dismissed in a lawsuit. If you're filing a lawsuit against somebody, my objective, I'm not giving you legal advice, my objective is to get them into court because I have a disagreement with them. Their wrong stands unless I can get them into court. So they try to stay out of court, so what they say stands. So the first objective is to get service, get past the motion to dismiss, get them in court in front of the judge, in front of witnesses, and let the judge decide who's right and wrong. And if I don't agree with that judge, I have a right to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. So my objective is to get them in court. Their objective, what they're going to try to do is let things stand as they were, where I never get my law license and stay out of court and let their falseness and their wrong continue. I hope that doesn't happen. If it does, I'll be fine. But that's what's going on with my lawsuit. Thank you all so very much for joining me. May God bless you, I pray. So we've covered a lot today, and the problem is corruption at the upper echelon in government power. And the way we can correct that is to have hope, pray, and vote. Voters of Truth and Rage, join this channel. We'll try to have some more news tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for joining me. We'll see if we got any questions on here. How many people I got in here? We got quite a few. Thank you all so very much. Got some haters in here. And God isn't real. Well, I would very greatly disagree with you. You see the flag that I am flying. And so like, share, comment. We got 44 likes. Over 103 viewers. Let's see if we can get up to 50 likes. And as I always try to say, God loves you, and I do too. So we got 44. Let's try to get 45 likes. Thank you all so very much for joining me. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your prayers. And if you can support the channel, I also run a taxi service here in Knoxville. So if you want to contribute to the channel, hit the square icon. And if you already have the YouTube, if you want to, if you need a taxi here in Knoxville, I also run a taxi service. Just call that number right there, and I'm available 24/7 when I'm not on another call. So we got about 15 seconds, and we'll have gone 2 hours today. Viewership has been overwhelming, and thank you all so very much for your time. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can get one more like, up to 44. May God bless you all, and as I always say, God loves you, and I do too. Until tomorrow, thank you.